Hey everybody, I'm Jammer and welcome to a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe video. So when I first got this game, the biggest question I had is what weight classes are these new characters? You know, Inkling, King Boo, Bowser Jr. I was just curious how they slotted in with the original roster from the Wii U. As people who played it know, the weight classes are very important because they could tell you how characters were basically interchangeable. Like Mario and Luigi had the exact same stats and they could be switched out. It was really just an aesthetic. Same goes for like Lakitu and Wendy, or Peach and Daisy, Bowser and Wario, and the list goes on. This was really important for like getting perfect kart setups and builds, especially because there was acceleration tiers in that game. Those do not appear in Deluxe, which is really awesome. It adds a lot more freedom to kart setups and stuff like that. But anyways, I was going to check out these characters and I'm like, hold on, something doesn't seem right with these statistics. And I go to check one of my favorite characters from the original, Villager, and I'm like putting on my original setup that I always use, and I'm like, hold on. These stats are very different than they were before. And I start messing around, I check Bowser, I check some other people, I'm like, hold on. These stats are completely different than the original on the Wii U. I was thinking maybe I had the wrong tires, the wrong glider, I was not sure what was going on. After a lot of experimentation, it actually looks like almost every single character in the game has had some sort of change to their stats. The entire weight classes have been super diversified. So this video is kind of going to be running through these characters and my findings and what slots they kind of land into. Here's the chart I'll be going off of that I created. It is based on an original chart made for Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U by Reddit user Spazit, so definitely shouts out to him. The information, however, is all my findings. This is just all these stats are based on the characters in the standard kart, standard tires, and the standard glider. Nothing fancy, nothing special. Just to do a direct comparison to stats per character basis. If you want to download this image yourself, I'll put a link to like a Twitter post in the description so you can save that image and you can have it. Without further ado, we're going to go through the lists, through each class, and talk about the characters and their changes from the original. And as you can already see, there is so much more diversification in each of the weight classes. While in the original there was maybe only 1 or 2 tiers within each class, now there's 5 tiers in every class, which is super diverse, adds to so many more possible builds for your characters and karts. So anyways, let's get into the first weight classes, being the lights, the first tier being Feather. The characters in this tier are Baby Peach, Baby Daisy, Baby Rosalina, and Lemmy. How they differ from the original is they have 0.75 more acceleration. They're lighter by 0.25, they have 0.25 more handling, and their traction is a little bit less by 0.25. They're even lighter, but they have just wicked handling. Now the next tier is the lights, and the reason I call them the lights is because the Mii slots into this tier, and you'll see that later in the list with the mediums and the heavies as well. So the characters in this tier, of course, are Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, Dry Bones, and then the Mii. These were originally grouped with the Feather tier in the last game, so they had all the same stats. However, in this game, 0.25 more speed, acceleration, and weight. They have 0.5 less handling and 0.25 less traction. So overall, a lot more speedier and a little bit more heft than the Feather tier, but they lack in a little bit in handling and traction in comparison. Let's move on to the female lights. Now, the reason they're called that because they have a counterpart, which is the next tier, that their stats are nearly identical with a few minor changes. Matter of fact, the next 3 tiers were originally grouped together on the Wii U as the second tier of the lights. Characters in this tier are Wendy, Toadette, and Isabelle. Their speed is exactly the same. Their acceleration is increased by a whopping 1.25. Their weight is a little bit lighter by 0.25, handling exactly the same, and their traction originally was 4.25 and now is 3.5. Overall, their acceleration has been buffed by an insane amount, and their weight and the rest of their stats are nearly identical with minor changes here or there. Now, the next tier is the male lights. This is, like I said, the counterpart to the tier before this, with a few tweaks here and there to their stats. This tier has Koopa Troopa, Lakitu, and Bowser Jr. on it. The difference between these two is these guys have 0.25 less acceleration, but they also have 0.25 more handling, and then their traction is actually a lot more at 4.25. So these guys take a little bit of a hit to their acceleration with the trade-off of a little bit more handling and better steering and stuff. The next and final tier of the lightweight class is the Speedies. These characters in this tier are Toad, Shy Guy, and Larry. Again, they were the same as the two previous tiers in the last game. This time they have 2.5 more speed, the same acceleration as the male lights, 0.25 less handling, and 0.25 traction. So overall, very similar, but again, minor tweaks. Now let's move on to the medium weight class. First off, starting with the female alts. Now these are basically like the alternate character, female variants of the DLC characters. So we have Cat Peach, female villager, and female Inkling. These guys, again, have gotten a huge buff to their acceleration, and their traction's a little bit less, but they have a little bit more handling because of it, and their weight has significantly increased, matter of fact. Moving on, the low mediums. These three are nearly the same, and all were a part of the same tier in the Wii U game. This is comprised of Peach, Daisy, and Yoshi. They have 0.25 more speed, a whopping 1.0 more acceleration, which they buff so much acceleration in this game, it's insane. As far as weight, they got 0.75 more weight, same handling, and a little bit less traction, 0.25 less traction. So overall, still, yeah, generally the same, but they still got a huge buff to their acceleration. The next tier is the male alts, which actually was my favorite tier in the original game. We'll see how it goes in this game, though, just because of cart setups and whatnot. These characters are Tanuki Mario, male villager, and then male Inkling. Again, the counterparts to the females. These guys, as comparison, have 0.25 more speed than those guys, 0.25 less acceleration, but they have 3.25 weight in comparison to 2.75. And then they have a little bit less handling and a little bit less traction. The real purpose of using these guys in the original was that buff to the acceleration and the pretty decent speed, but because they've been changed as much as they have, cart setups won't be exactly the same. That's why I'm so confused, you know? And of course, acceleration tiers are no longer a thing, so it opens up the freedom to a ton of different cart possibilities. So let's move on to the medium tier, which is our average guys. We got Mario, Larry, and the Mii. How their stats have changed from the original. They got speed is exactly the same, 1.0 more acceleration, a little bit less weight, and a little bit more handling, and a little bit less traction. So overall, still the same, but minor tweaks. The next class, I wasn't sure what to call it, but I guess the Luigi class, where it's essentially the same exact thing. The only difference is their handling and traction have increase and decrease respectively. So Luigi class has 0.25 more speed, but 0.25 less traction. Finally, let's move on to the heavy class, which has, again, 5 tiers. First being the light cruisers. This has Rosalina, Link, and King Boo. Compared to the original, they have 0.25 less speed, 1.0 more acceleration, but they have 0.5 less weight. And in comparison to their handling, they had 2.75 in the original, 3.25 here, and just a little bit better traction. The next tier is the medals. They had their own tier in the original on the Wii U. This comprises of Metal Mario, Gold Mario, and Pink Gold Peach. I don't have footage of Gold Mario just yet. I haven't unlocked him. But he is a color palette swap of Metal Mario, so it'll be the exact same stats. How they've changed is their acceleration is buffed from 2 to 3.25. Speed is exactly the same. Weight increased by a little bit. Handling has seen one of the bigger changes, going from 2.75 to the 3.25. Then finally, the traction is exactly the same. Now, the next tier is the cruisers, which originally were grouped with those light cruisers in the original game. These guys have Donkey Kong, Waluigi, and Roy. How they've changed is they have 0.25 more speed. Again, a ton more acceleration, going from 2 to 3.25. Their weight, however, is dropped from 4.75 to 4. Their handling is increased by 0.25, and their traction is decreased by 0.25. So overall, a lot of good changes for them. As you'll see throughout this whole class and this whole tier list for that matter, all of the accelerations have increased almost by a whole interval. It's insane. So finally, let's get to the almost heavies. I mean, I was going to call these heavies, but the Mii did not fit into this, and I wanted the Mii to be in the heavy tier, or the name of the heavy tier, you know? I was going to go heavy, very heavy, but whatever. This is how it worked out. Again, if you want to rename these, go ahead. Anyways, this comprised, of course, Wario and Dry Bowser. Difference between these guys and the original is same speed, 1.0 acceleration boost, 0.5 more weight, 0.5 more handling, and the same amount of traction. So nearly the same, but a good amount of changes to just mix it up. Then finally, the last tier is the heavies. This comprises of Bowser, Morton, and the Heavy Mii. These guys are the heaviest in the games, and they're really similar to the almost heavies. The only difference between these two tiers is the weight. These guys are heavier by 0.25. The handling, these guys have less handling by 0.25. And the traction, which they have less handling by 0.25. So again, giving a little bit more weight, but at the cost of handling and traction. So that is all of the weight tiers and classes in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is going to add to a ton of different kart possibilities, and I can't believe how much they've changed. It really just diversifies the roster and gives more characters more purpose, while in the original, like, the second tier of the light class had like 7 characters all slotted in there, maybe even more. So they were all really interchangeable, and there's no really point in playing Toad over a Koopa over a Wendy. But now in this game, there's slight differences between all 3 of them, which is really nice, and it's very appreciative. And here's the thing, if they've changed all the weight classes, who knows what they changed with the kart stats? All the standard stuff was considered neutral stat gains, and the rest would give you buffs and debuffs to specific attributes. But who knows if those have been changed? I've been playing with them a little bit. I can't say for certain if they've been changed or not, or they've all been changed, but maybe I'll update that with another future video talking about the kart statistics. But yeah, give this video a big, awesome like. If you haven't already, subscribe for tons on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and Nintendo Switch, and all that stuff. Also, tomorrow I will be live streaming this game, as promised. I've been trying to get around to it this whole time, but I will be streaming it tomorrow. We'll be playing around probably in online and battle mode, and we can even play together if you want to do that, so that'd be awesome. We'll also probably be talking about and deciding when we want to run a tournament, because I do want to run a tournament with you guys. I think it'd be a lot of fun to race and have a scheduled thing to do every week. But tomorrow on Tuesday, we'll talk about what day we want to set it up and what times, if it's on the weekend like a Saturday or Friday night or even during the week, or I don't know. So yeah, I hope to see you guys then. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. See ya.